The Brotherhood of Steel has been a staple of post-apocalyptic America since the moment the bombs fell on that fateful autumn day in 2077. The distinct look of power armor-clad knights crusading across the wasteland in search of technology is unmistakable. Their discipline and dedication to duty are second only to the mighty legions of Caesar that would arise in the centuries to follow. Their mission? Acquire as much advanced pre-war technology as possible, forever keeping it out of reach of the common wastelander. Preserve what remains of mankind from destroying itself yet again. Their founder, Roger Maxson, was a pre-war army captain who was stationed at Mariposa Military Base just before the start of the Great War. Maxson and his disciples learned about the experiments with FEV that were being conducted, and following a round of interrogations, killed the scientists, deserting their positions rather than continue to allow these barbaric experiments to occur. After the rest of the army failed to respond to his desertion, he led his disciples on an exodus to an underground bunker to start their new lives. Lost Hills, as it came to be known, would become the place where the remnants of the US Army would die, and the Brotherhood of Steel would be born. Following their birth at Lost Hills, the Brotherhood would slowly grow in scope, their ranks swelling, leading to the establishment of several outposts in the various budding settlements of California. Many events would transpire in the decades to come, culminating in the eventual rise of the Master and his unity, an army of FEV-engineered mutants bent on evolving all mankind. However, before the Master's grand plan could truly commence, it was foiled by a wasteland legend, leading to the death of the Master and the subsequent fracturing of his army. The Vault Dweller from Vault 13, with aid from the Brotherhood of Steel, drove the remaining super mutant hordes into the wasteland. Leaderless and disorganized, the Unity had no choice but to flee. In the following years, the Brotherhood pursued them into the desert, but once it was established that the Unity no longer proved a threat, they called off their manhunt, resuming their initial mission of hoarding technology. This decision was not unanimous, however, as some members within the Brotherhood wanted to continue to pursue the Unity, as well as to survey the rest of the country for advanced technology to acquire. In addition to this, internal conflict centered around recruiting practices led to division amongst the faction. It was ultimately decided that the supporters of an inclusive brotherhood would be allowed to traverse the United States and continue hunting the remnants of the Master's army. Boarding great airships, this new chapter of Brotherhood would set out on a grand expedition, a decision that would change the course of history forever. The expedition proved anything but easy, even for experienced knights clad in pre-war power armor. On their way across the country, they encountered severe storms, hostile ground fire from super mutants and raiders, dwindling numbers, and eventually were grounded when a catastrophic lightning storm destroyed several ships in their convoy, including the one with the expedition's leaders just outside of the pre-war city of Chicago. Leaderless and over 2,000 miles from home, the Brotherhood survivors reeled in the horror. Communication attempts to Lost Hills proved pointless. Cut off from reinforcements and under relentless attack, the Midwestern Brotherhood fought countless battles, quickly dwindling what remained of their chapter. As a means of survival, the leadership began recruiting heavily from the local population. Tribals, robots, super mutants, ghouls, and even Deathclaws were employed as new Brotherhood soldiers. Anyone who could wield a gun was pressed into service and sent out into the wasteland to gather resources, recruit new blood, and eradicate any opposition to the faction. The Brotherhood's advanced tech, superior training, and monolithic ideology soon began to dilute with this increase in membership. By the year 2197, the faction boasts a well-established pipeline for its new recruits and is quickly acquiring supplies, weapons, and vehicles, leading to their increasing dominance over the vast region. With the diversification of the faction, the Midwestern Brotherhood gained some unique benefits from its members. The super mutants' great size allowed them to wield an array of heavy weapons and perform tasks even a Brotherhood paladin in full power armor would struggle with. The ghouls, while squishier and unable to use the Midwestern variants of power armor, came with skills and experience they had gained from hundreds of years surviving in the wastes. Both of these new groups boast an immunity to radiation, allowing for increased operational capacity in even the most rugged corners of the wasteland. These new soldiers would be of great assistance in establishing relations with the Brotherhood and various groups of their kind. The Deathclaws and robots are not quite as sociable, however. A Deathclaw matriarch that the Brotherhood saved provides a continuous source of formidable melee fighters for the faction, while the robots are very sturdy and resistant to most forms of damage. Given the sheer area of the Midwestern chapter's operations, as well as their unconventional makeup, their rank structure is more complex than your run-of-the-mill Brotherhood chapter. Due to complexity and their origins in Lost Hills, it is unknown if non-humans can rise to the rank of great prominence within the faction, such as elders and generals. With the continued mixture of the ranks and provided enough time has passed, a Deathclaw elder or a super mutant general may not be out of the question. The Midwest Brotherhood is not just a military, but a full-fledged society. Its non-combatant ranks are civilian, scribe, and elder. Civilians are subjects, wasteland traders, craftsmen, children, and any other non-Brotherhood individual who is under the protection of, and by extension, ruled by the Brotherhood. They provide services, establish trade lines, populate villages and towns, and produce food and future recruits for the Order. These communities are not always voluntary, with a number of them having been annexed and forced to submit to Brotherhood control. As subjects of the Brotherhood of Steel, they must contribute a certain amount of their resources and youth to assisting and maintaining the Brotherhood's military might. To begin, scribes are the scientific minds of the Brotherhood, a departure from their role on the West Coast. Midwestern scribes double as engineers and scientists, replacing the Brotherhood knights in this capacity. They manufacture weapons and equipment, process data into intelligence, study technology, and otherwise perform academic research in all manner of subjects. Scribes are the keepers of knowledge and the inheritors of humanity's collective consciousness. In a world full of darkness and ignorance, they are the light. At the bottom of the military hierarchy is the recruit. These subhuman piles of organic matter have yet to pass their initial training, and 85% will not succeed. They exist only to be molded into something resembling a real soldier, or to be tossed back out into the wastes, to be picked over by the myriad of horrors that call this land home. Weakness will not be tolerated amidst the ranks of the Midwestern Brotherhood. Once a recruit puke has proven themselves worthy of donning a Brotherhood uniform, they graduate to initiate. They can now be assigned to combat duty and be trusted to dress themselves and keep their weapon pointed at the enemy. They are, however, only minimally trained and cannot be expected to complete anything other than basic tasks. Initiates with more training and experience can become senior initiates. These are still foot troops with no command authority, but they have a significant increase in their combat training, leading to a better battle effectiveness. Squires are the next step up from initiates. They are full-fledged members of the Brotherhood and are always on active duty. Once a squire has fought and killed enough to earn the designation of senior, they are ready to ascend into the ranks of knighthood. Brotherhood Knights make up the backbone of the Midwest chapter's fighting force, a cast of delineated roles signifying one's combat effectiveness and command amongst their peers. Knights comprise the bulk of seasoned warriors within the Brotherhood, leading their teams with distinction, carrying out orders from the paladins and elders, and destroying the Brotherhood's enemies wherever they crop up. Knights are easily distinguished amongst the ranks by their rudimentary power armor and upgraded firearms. At the bottom of the command structure are junior knights, members of the Brotherhood that have fought hard and distinguished themselves as squires. Through countless trials, a junior knight can climb the ladder to a standard knight. The function of the knight is the same to that of a junior knight, with their designation merely denoting an increase in battlefield competence and time in grade. When a knight has served long enough, they will be distinguished as a senior knight. While the operations of this rank are similar to knights and junior knights, this is the first time they are allotted a position of leadership, with senior knights primarily being responsible for the overseeing of operations of the knights under them, ensuring they are receiving proper guidance. When a senior knight demonstrates advanced leadership capabilities, they will earn the rank of a knight commander. This role is similar to that of senior knights in that their primary responsibility is to oversee the knights under them. However, as the highest ranking member amongst their class, a knight commander also has the responsibility of overseeing other senior knights and ensuring they are acting with the Brotherhood's best interests in mind. Once a knight has proven they are a force to be reckoned with, they will achieve the coveted rank of Paladin. Paladins are the premier fighting force of the Brotherhood, wielding the best weapons and armor available, and nearly unstoppable on the battlefield. They're highly skilled, deeply motivated, and seasoned veterans. Paladins are also responsible for the training of junior soldiers and the execution of key billets within the hierarchy, such as drill instructors, security chiefs for a bunker, or special operations teams. Even a junior paladin is elite in the truest sense of the word. The Paladin rank denotes veteran warriors sent to take on the toughest missions the Brotherhood has to offer. A squad of Paladins backed up by supporting elements of the Brotherhood military can achieve nearly anything. They cut through super mutant hordes like butter, forcing even the most dangerous creatures in the wastes to think twice about their spot on the food chain. Whether it's down the barrel of a laser rifle or at the end of a super sledge, the wasteland's most dangerous creatures meet their end when the Paladins arrive. Much like the knights before them, the Paladin rank structure is separated into juniors and standards, with junior Paladins having recently entered the fold from the knight ranks, and standard Paladins denoting a soldier who has spent enough time in grade to no longer be considered a junior. When a Paladin has earned a position of seniority, instead of receiving the title of senior, they will instead be promoted to that of a commander. These denote leaders who command the rest of the Paladins from the front. They are the highest level commanders that still regularly go on missions, second only to Brotherhood generals in the command structure. Amongst the rank and file of the chapter exists a special designation, one which cannot be obtained through the traditional route, one whose obscurity and mystery drives legends and rumors throughout the wastes: Paladin Lords. This rank is unique amongst the Order. They exist outside the normal chain of command and report directly to the Elder and the Elder Council alone. Their missions are secret, and often even the Brotherhood generals are not made aware of their activities. Paladin Lords lead groups of hand-picked paladins who are sworn to secrecy about their missions, as they often fall outside the norms of Brotherhood regulation and are sensitive in nature. In the same vein as Paladin Lords are the dreaded Inquisitors. These are the Brotherhood's secret police. They are tasked with interrogating recently liberated people to gain valuable intelligence and root out threats to the Brotherhood. If a prisoner of war or civilian answers honestly and is of no threat, they are offered to the Brotherhood for service. If not, the Inquisitors make sure they, and any they have connection to, disappear. They are also in charge of policing internal dissent from within the Brotherhood's chapter. Any disobedience and embarrassment to the faction is squashed, covered up, with the offenders and their close associates facing hard labor, interrogation, or execution. Sitting at the top of the Brotherhood's military ranks are generals. These fierce warriors control the Brotherhood's military, but must have their actions sanctioned by the chapter elder or the Elder Council in Lost Hills. A general does not have the authority to act without permission. They are simply the most senior officer in charge of the fighting. Decisions of a strategic nature remain firmly with the elders as not to instigate a coup from an overly ambitious general. Furthermore, Generals can only be selected by showing exceptional skill in military tactics and combat. They are selected by the chapter elder to lead a campaign. For example, General Decker, who led the Brotherhood forces against the Calculator during the events of 2197. Generals are given the honor of promoting other members in the Brotherhood up the chain of command, from Initiate to Paladin commanders. And above it all sits the Order's Elder. These distinguished members are the leaders of a chapter or a group of Brotherhood forces. They are the connecting file between the scribes, knights, and paladins. They are the ideological leaders, key decision makers, and the ones who plunge the Brotherhood's mission into action. In this way, elders function similarly to pre-war American civilian leadership, above the chain of command and dealing with questions of ideology, rather than day-to-day operational planning and tactical objectives. Because of their isolation and massive area of operations, it is unclear whether the Midwestern Brotherhood as we come to know them believe themselves as part of the original Brotherhood, or if they have gone rogue and evolved beyond their origins. Their numbers swell by the day, and they control vast population centers throughout the Midwest, with their size equaling that of the New California Republic and Caesar's Legion combined, nearly 100 years prior to the peaks of these civilizations. Perhaps in time, we will be granted the honor of traversing Chicago. But until then, we rest.